Hi everyone, this is Driftwood speaking for another GSY Offline video, which is meant to be a presentation but also a review of Soulstice that I'm going to discover with you guys in its PlayStation 5 version, as I reviewed the game on PC. Was just sent a PS5 key so I can give it a go. So I figured, why not do something useful, try the game sort of live, not exactly live as I'm recording this a few days before the embargo lifts, and also why not talk to you about it. I didn't really know if I had plans to do anything in English, because I believe that I'm not sure that a lot of people are interested in what I have to say about the game. I know that you guys like the gameplay videos we make, not so much the commented videos we try to produce. So hopefully it'll be good enough for you to enjoy for about 30 minutes. So let's see what this is about. It's a game that I completed in about 25 hours. Actually hard for me to be sure, as the Steam counter also takes into account the time I've spent on the two previews I was able to try between, I think, June and August. There was the first preview, which was just a demo that basically, I think, the Steam demo that was released on at the end of August. And there was another preview which was really more of a preview, because there were about 12 chapters, if I'm not 12 missions, if I remember correctly, and I was able to really see the potential of the game, but also its weaknesses in a way. So this is going to be the beginning. For the first time you'll see the prologue, as it's something that was not shown before in promotional videos, and we were not allowed to capture our own footage at the time, so there was no way we could do that. And it's something I forgot actually, but the prologue was not available even in the preview build I got in late July, early August. I can't remember exactly. So what I can see here is there are graphics modes. I had no idea. On PC you have DLSS, and the game is pretty smooth actually. With my RTX 2080 Ti, I was able to well, most of the time in the quality DLSS, it worked very, very well. Had to lower down to balanced, and only had a few hiccups toward the very end. There was one scene, for some reason, I don't know why, but it was just one basically camera angle, and then it was back to 60. So performance balanced, balance between fidelity and frame rate, okay. And resolution favor higher fidelity at a lower frame rate, so I'm guessing 30 FPS. So what should we do? Good question. Let's try balance to begin. So I'll just check if I can. Is there subtitle names? No. Yeah, I'm guessing there are subtitles by default. We'll see, because I don't think the game sound will be very, very loud. I'm afraid. Actually scared it might actually cover my voice, although I might think it's better. So 3 difficulty settings to begin with, and 2 more to unlock once you complete the game. Each chapter or mission, call them whatever you like, can be replayed even, before you finish the game, and you can change the difficulty setting. And I'm not too sure, but I think you might be able to choose Chimera or Transcended on previous chapters. We'll see if we can see that. I played in the Initiate, which is the default mode, and so the normal mode, I would say. And there's basically, it's not too challenging, but it was fine by me, as I really enjoyed the game. I can say that for now. I can say that now, sorry, but there are camera issues that I mentioned in the preview that could probably make the game a bit more frustrating on the harder difficulty settings, because you probably can get hit and you think it's not your fault, but it's the game's fault. or the way, or the presentation, the way the game well, works in terms of camera angles and everything. So let me turn up the volume.
Chaos could be banished, but it could not be destroyed. So the keepers weaved a veil with their own essence and stood guard. The world was now safe, but it was also empty and meaningless. Thus, the keepers reached beyond the veil. They seized the power of chaos itself. They gave it shape and purpose. They created life, and man was their most perfect creation. But all life would eventually hear the call from beyond the veil. Thus it happened that, alongside life, death also came to the world. The great cycle was set in motion. Yet chaos hungered for more and sought to undo the Keeper's creation. The spawn of chaos struck, wounding the Keepers and tearing the veil. Endless droves of horrors trespassed into the world. And so came the Soulstice of Souls. Hurt and weak, the Keepers charged man with defending the world. They inspired man to fight fire with fire, ferocity with ferocity. Driven by the infinite wisdom of the Keepers, man turned the very power of chaos against it. Through sacrifice and resolve, a breed of sacred warriors was created. 3 were wounds in the essence of the Keepers. 3 the mighty battles fought and won by the champions of man. 3 the sacred cities that were built in those hallowed places. Eventually, the Soulstice of Souls was put to an end. The 3 cities still stand to this day for the glory of the Keepers, while the memory of the sacred warriors has been lost to time. But while the mortal body must perish, that which is immortal is bound to be reborn.
So Stephanie Justin, I'm not sure I'm saying it right, who used to play Quiet in Metal Gear Solid 5, is voicing the 2 main characters here, Briar, that we control directly, and Lute, her sister, who's a spirit, because both of them combined, they form what the game calls a chimeras. And so there are like elite warriors that are meant to protect the human race from the demons, or let's say monsters. And this is the prologue, so you're obviously going to be less overpowered when you start the game and when you see the first chapter in just a few minutes. So I remind you, I chose the balanced mode to try it, as there are no graphics modes on PC. As you can imagine, it's my first time playing the PS5 version. But it's pretty cool to know that, yeah, they included different modes. I think it's the type of game that really takes advantage of the high frame rate, so 60 FPS, I think it's great. And the prologue is basically meant to show you that combat is fast-paced, as you know, there's a great feedback, and you are, you get more and more powerful, and it shows on the screen, which doesn't always make it easy to understand or to see what's going on. The combination of the predefined camera angles and the fact that also there are a lot of special effects everywhere, explosions and things like that. It's not helping, and it makes sometimes the game a bit difficult to read in a way, which is why I assume that playing it on a high difficulty setting requires to really know the game and the game mechanics, and to be comfortable with the combat system, which I think is really great. But maybe, and it's just me speaking, maybe it would benefit from a manual camera that actually I have here. Sometimes you can move the camera around as you wish, but it's not always the case in combat sequences. In the there's a lock-on system that does not appear in the prologue, because you're supposed to pretty much button mash your way out of the prologue, and so that's why there are no tutorial hints or anything. But the lock-on system is not always very convenient, I would say. But those are, I wouldn't call them minor things, because obviously they have an impact on the gameplay. But I really, really dig the game. I think it's quite amazing what they have achieved with a team of 50 people or so. And it's not their first game, mind you. I think they made a game quite many years ago, because I think there was a remaster of one of their games in 2013, so that actually is quite a while ago. And also, I think they released a VR game, but those two games I had never heard of, so I don't know if it's because they're bad or anything, or just because they were too small. But this one, I think, deserves the praise, despite the moments when the game had me go a little angry at it because of the camera angles. Not so much in the main missions usually, but you'll see that they are like challenge areas, sort of arenas that are meant to give you, supposed to give you an objective, a very specific objective they have to achieve in a certain amount of time. And well, yes, some can be pretty challenging, but they're okay, because when you don't succeed, you realize it's you don't master the game enough. But sometimes the camera is just not helping, and there's one I have in mind that I think I'll show in the video, in the gameplay video I'll post when the embargo lifts. That was a nightmare because of the camera angle. So yeah, it's an issue, but I mean, first of all, even though sometimes the fighting can take a bit too long, especially if you don't use the right weapons for the right enemies. So it actually forces you to know your enemies and to know your arsenal, which I think is good. But sometimes, I felt like toward the end, some of the combat, I mean, it dragged a little bit too long in a way. And because the game has such a length also, I would say 20 hours or so, depending on how you play, it means that some people might, and it's me giving my opinion, but some people might think that it's a bit too long for its own good. But also, it allows to actually develop a story and the game world and characters that I find very interesting. And I have to say, at the end of the game, you understand that, hopefully they're going to make more, that maybe it'll be like a trilogy, I think. That's what they have in mind. And you really want to know what's going to happen and how it's going to turn out. And this is not something I feel after the end of every game I complete. So it's actually a very, very good thing about the game, is I really enjoyed this world, the mystery around the characters and everything. And I'm sorry to say, but for me personally, Soulstice has a more interesting story than any of the Devil May Cry games before, because I have never really been interested in what happens to Dante and his brother and friends and everything, and always felt it was a bit too tacky for my taste. But it's just me, my personal opinion speaking. You're obviously allowed to disagree. And so look at this. I think the game looks amazing. I think the balance mode is probably not the best way to play it, although the image quality is pretty nice. I'm wondering if I can switch modes between modes. Yes, I can. So resolution, let's try. I think I'll go, and then I'll set to I'll stay in frame rate mode. That's the way the game is supposed to be played. So yeah, this is 30. So pretty fine camera angles, not always very convenient during combat, but when you explore the world, I mean, look at this. I mean, the way they actually stage everything, it looks amazing, and this is also something I've enjoyed a lot in the game. A few passages in the sewers or like sewer-like areas, maybe a bit too much sometimes, but overall, really liked also the journey that I took with Briar and Loot. But for the rest, it's pretty much a Devil May Cry like, done very well, meaning that I don't think there are so many or that many Devil May Cry like out there, that people tend to maybe follow on the footsteps of From Software these days, and it's a welcome change. Actually, it's not another From Software like game. It's a Devil May Cry like, and it's nice. Like I said, I'm not too fond of Devil May Cry because of its, game world mainly more than the gameplay. I know they're very good games, especially the last one, but even when the first one was released and it came out, I mean, I bought it on PlayStation 2, played it, took me a while to complete it because I didn't really want to play that much, but completed it in the end. But can't say I was I was not blown away. I mean, it was amazing visually, but it was not my type of universe. Basically, the demons and all. I mean, they are sort of demons in Soulstice, but I think the characters are more interesting, at least to me. So don't worry, I'll be back to something more acceptable in terms of frame rate, but wanted to show you, because there's no combat, that game looks great. The team 50 people, I said, not exactly, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, but I think it's pretty impressive what they've achieved, and it should be praised. Also the music that you probably won't hear very much in this video, the music during the unique boss fights. I mean, there are boss fights that are just like in Elden Ring, bosses that will become regular enemies then, and so not that many unique real bosses, but they're pretty cool design wise, and the epicness of the combat and the music and everything. But yeah, it's probably less memorable in this respect than Devil May Cry. So you can see that exploring is important. You can destroy these crates and things like that, and you get XP, like bits of crystals. I can't play more. Oh yeah, so there's a dodge button, and then I'm going to try and fight this guy. I think he'll be joined by at least 2 others, if I remember correctly. And this is not actually what you played in the Steam demo, if you have played in the Steam demo. This Steam demo was composed of just like the first preview of different bits taken from several early levels. So you can lock onto the enemies, and you can use loot to counter when the prompt appears on the screen. It's not always that easy. I mean, it makes it look maybe like it's going to be easy to just press the B button when you have the prompt, but it's not, because when so many things happen on the screen, obviously you don't always react fast enough, and every time you miss, I mean, you can lose some let's say you can lose some momentum, and then at the end the score you get is not as good. So this is like the best diamond, I think. And just like in the Devil May Cry games, every time you finish a fight, you have a score, and at the end of the level you have one, and then you're granted more or less XP depending on how much you reached. So let me go back, not exactly back, but I'm going to skip the balanced mode. It's probably not for me either, and let's see if performance works well enough. And this is great. This is exactly what we need. And image quality is not so bad. I mean, there's an anime look to the game, and even though the textures are pretty good, I think, especially on the ground sometimes, the materials and everything, it's very well done. And look at this. Honestly, I mean, if you want a good-looking game this September, this is the way to go. And like I said, you know, like default difficulty mode is not too challenging. I mean, you might die, but not that much, unless you're really bad. And if you want more challenge, obviously you can choose the one above and unlock the two others. Although, to be frank, this will not be what I'll do. I'm very happy with completing, you know, my game in. I'm sorry if I'm actually pressing the wrong buttons, but I just played Fist. That came to there's a boxed version of Fist, which is why we're covering it on PlayStation 5 these days. And well, the dodge is I think is set to R1, and here it's the items you can use. So try to press the right button, and again, diamond, but it's not so difficult in the beginning. So I'm not going to destroy everything because we're going to lose time. So, but you should explore, because there are a few things hidden here and there. Some, you know, like it's not like Zelda, but if you find like 3 items, you can increase your health bar. You can also increase your entropy level. It's a mechanic that's important because you fight together, but sometimes you use like sort of force fields, but the fields increase the entropy, and if you reach the maximal level, loot becomes unavailable for a few seconds, and it actually can make a difference because she's the one defending you, blocking the attacks, freezing the enemies. I mean, you can dodge, which I haven't done much, but she's very useful. And actually, if you fight well, if you attack well, if you dodge, if you parry or block with the loot, you raise your unity between the two characters, which allows you to launch special attacks, and I say attacks because there's one first, and then you discover other forms of attacks where Briar actually becomes sort of monstrous in a way, and more powerful, not invincible, but yeah, things are basically you're introduced to new things. I would say maybe not from the beginning to the end, but pretty close. You know, try to, you know, change some of the mechanics, even the puzzles just a little bit. It's not that different, but they try to keep it fresh until the end, and I think it's also something to underline, because it's not always the case. So there are different types of counters. Deflection is one, but this is something that you basically have no real control on. Loot, it also attacks. Well, actually, it's not exactly true when I say you have no control on the type of counters you make, because it depends where you are. Also depends when you press the button. There are actually perfect counters also. Not very easy to do, because it's, I mean, at least for me, I'm not quick enough, I would say, when I press the button, when I see it appear on the screen. but okay. But when I see the enemy and he starts his animation to hit me, this is when I press, and usually that is just precisely at the right moment, and it works. So I still have a diamond score. I think the game is just trying to make me think I can play. But well, so let's continue. And I'm not going to repeat it, though I probably will. But the game looks great. You're not going to go from it's there is not as much variety as maybe in a Devil May Cry game, in a recent one at least, because you're in one place, so you're progressing through these streets and then the castles and everything. So it doesn't change very much, but it's always very, very pretty, and I had to control myself not to show too many things on screens, so I just selected a few screenshots that I took on PC. And this is Layton, one of the secondary characters, and he's obviously very important in the story. And I like, the voice acting is great. The the way the dialogue's pretty static like this. When it's not a cutscene, you have to press the button to move forward. But I think it's interesting what they say, and the relationship between Ryer and Lutz and Layton and the others. I think it's something that they really nailed, and it makes the game more appealing for me because of that. It's not just a game that works mechanically speaking, it's also a game that makes me want to see what comes next in terms of story. And like I said, it's not always what I felt in the Devil May Cry series, and yeah, I know not everyone will agree with me, but that's the way I feel.
Our fame precedes us.
Also really like the character design. They look pretty badass. Even Layton pretty cool with his mask. Also like the way he speaks. I'm not too sure you can hear him very well, but check out the gameplay videos. Probably leave at least one extract where he says something. And if you have a PC, probably try the demo so you know.
Its cause is unknown, but it's the largest yet seen, and I do believe getting larger still.
But yeah, other than the camera angles, I really see no reason to complain about this game. I mean, maybe there could be more real bosses to fight, because, like I said, those that do not become, normal enemies, they are, quite memorable in their own way. But maybe something they can improve. And also, if you don't like the invisible walls of you're not going to like that, because sometimes, well, it makes sense in a way, but they could be, the character could be blocked closer to the to what is supposed to touch when there's a table, for example, in some camera angles. And also, it's a bit of a shame that you cannot jump over when there's stairs and some things you can't do because there's an invisible wall, and well, but at least it means that you can't fall to your death also, so you can't have it both ways, can you? So let's try and skip. Because it's not exactly 30 minutes, but it's gonna be 30 minutes, and I'm not even going to be able to complete the first level. So let's skip for real. So Layton is also your shop. So he's going to sell you things. So here I have to buy an emerald tear shard, which can give me a bit of health. But there are also skills you can unlock. For Briar, it's basically skills related to her weapons. So you unlock new combos, for example, but also you can improve the efficiency of almost all weapons, except for the first one, the Ashen Vindicator, which is your main sword. But if you check here, the proficiency can be improved. I mean, the more you improve it, the more expensive it is. The rest, special moves and combos. And actually what's good also, and there are a few differences in the combos between the different weapons, but you find similarities. So it's not like you're going to get lost and you be in this position where you don't remember how you use a weapon and you have to check the menu. And it's good because you actually have to switch weapons and you don't need to go in the menu to do so. So it's something that is very smooth, and you actually can do that in the middle of a combo. So you start with 2 weapons and then you finish with two others, and I think it's pretty cool. Loot can also be improved, but it's not so much her arsenal here, because she doesn't have any weapons. It's her skills, like defensive skills, offensive skills, and the fields I was talking about, the fields that you can create around the characters for Briar to be able to interact with some of the crystals they find in their way, to get rid of them, or just to be able to walk onto a platform, for example. But also fields are going to be very important to be able to touch some of the enemies. Specters, you need the blue field, and the enemies that are possessed, you'll require the red field. I forgot their names, but I hope you'll forgive me. You can always talk to Layton more and learn about the lore. I would recommend you do that because it's never too long and it's interesting, like I said. And it adds to the overall atmosphere, which is a bit depressing in a way. I mean, you arrive in Hilden, this big, beautiful city, but everyone's dead or has been turned into a monster, bloodthirsty monster. So there's a bit of despair is probably one thing you feel. But there's also, like I say, you're intrigued by this world. You try to understand how it works. I mean, chimeras are very strange beings in a way. So why would they do that? Why would they combine 2 souls? In the case of Briar and Luth, I mean, they're sisters, but it's not always a family bond that is required to create a chimera. And so, is it, is a chimera someone who wanted to be one, or is it forced onto them? It's things we actually learn, and in a way, and I don't want to say that this is that like this game, but in a way it felt a bit like Soul Reaver, not in the way it plays, but more like in the game world and that universe that you discover little by little, and you try to, well, you basically try to make sense of what's happening, but you're learning also as you progress into the story. And this reminded me a little bit of these games that I really loved as I'm not going to say a teenager, but because I think I was not a teenager anymore when Soul River was released, but maybe I still maybe I was still 19. I don't know. Yeah, I'm really old. So sometimes also because of the camera angles, it's not always easy to truly see if your position on the battlefield will allow you to touch your target. So here, there's nothing to do. So let's continue. But it bugged me more when I was supposed to destroy some crystals to get some XP points, more than during combat. Because there are so many enemies around you that you always end up hitting someone anyway. And you can combine, obviously, the double jump and the dash, which also allows the platforming sequences to be playable and never cumbersome, which, again, is great. But like I said, you can't really fall to your death, so there is no real pressure here. I'm going to get... This is what I was talking about by, when I said that you have to explore. So here there's a malformed husk fragment, and if you find 3 of them, you'll have more health. And this can be collected like this, so it can be found in the different levels, but you can also, by completing the challenges, the optional challenges in the special arenas that you have to find first, that will teleport you there. You can also gain that. But so health is one thing you can improve, but also entropy, like I said, which is that mechanic that I can't show you for now because I don't have access to the fields yet. So let's skip the cutscenes. It's not really one, it's just the game showing me what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go. It's like the puzzles in the game. They are really simple. I mean, it works like, you have to destroy a certain number of crystals so that a bigger one gets out of your way, and so you have to find a way to reach the different small crystal. The small crystals you have to find and destroy in order to get the big one. It's it's nothing too original. I mean, the game's originality comes from its background, basically, and its story, I would say. But I think what it does very well. And although I enjoy the predefined camera angles during exploration, I would be curious to know if the developers will maybe listen to the feedback. I don't know what the feedback will be, but guessing some people will complain about the camera system. So maybe have something more manual in the next game, at least during combat, as it is sometimes possible to control the camera. So maybe even in a patch, I don't know. So let's continue. So missions are not always very, very long, and it took me maybe 25 hours because I was really looking for everything, and when I was trying to complete the challenges, it was not always, my first try was not always a success, so I had to try a few times. Even, not even talking about the one challenge that drove me crazy because of the camera angles, because that was the one challenge that didn't make sense considering the way the game plays, because I couldn't touch the ground. I was on floating platforms, and I was supposed to beat 10 enemies and then stay alive and on the platforms until the end of the countdown. Problem was that the platforms could fall down sometimes randomly, more or less, I think, and that if I was locked on an enemy, when I fell, the camera was showing me the enemy and I couldn't see nothing under me, so I could not try to aim or to fall on the platform to save me from a certain death. And so the end of the challenge, I didn't do very well here. And so yeah, it was really unfortunate because it took me a while to complete this one. I haven't completed all the challenges because toward the end I had to, not a rush, but felt like I needed to have my review ready on the French side, and wasn't too sure what I was going to do in English, so I was going to do a video review, or if I was going to do this, and the fact that I got the PlayStation 5 code, well, it was my answer. I decided to talk to you about the game and show it to you as I'm playing. And by the way, don't worry if you feel the cutscenes are not as smooth as the gameplay, as they actually are locked at 30 FPS even on PC. So it doesn't really bother me. It may sound a bit strange, especially on PC, but actually it's a smooth 30 FPS, so it works well. So like I said, at the end of each chapter, you get a score, and it's based on the battles that you had to fight, your total score, but also the total time. So here, 16 minutes. You can do better than this, obviously. And platinum is okay, but it's not the best. Every time you finish a chapter, you can go back to the chapter selection when you've completed previous chapters before, and you can play them again to collect more XP, find the missing items you have, and or improve your score if you want. So I'm not counting this because I did that a little, but maybe probably not more than an hour in my playthrough. And I did just to see if there was anything I could get, and yes, indeed, some of the chunks you can find to improve your health. It's always nice. And when you are in the chapter selection menu, it actually tells you if you've missed an item or a challenge area. So the shop, there are new things. You can also improve your health by buying sturdy husk chunk and this for the entropy. But it's expensive, and it's more and more expensive. So it's not like it's not Dark Souls. XP doesn't really work like this. But yeah, some of the items you need to pay more. And so skills. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to acquire this. So yeah, it's really a game I like. Like I said, so many reasons. Visually, I think it looks superb. The OST is great, and the voice acting also top notch. Excellent job. The Stephanie Justin, she's impressive because she plays Briar and Lute, and I can never tell that it's the same person. Character design is great. The story I found interesting and intriguing and motivating, and also the game world, I really enjoyed discovering it. Combat is very dynamic. Feedback is great. The combat system works very, very, very well. You have to switch between weapons depending on the enemies. You have to use the force fields and to switch also between them, because some enemies are insensitive to they cannot be touched if you don't have the proper force field. So it all works very, very well. And the last part of the game is quite epic too, as you can imagine. And also like the cutscenes overall, very anime-like. And there's actually also like short cutscenes when you transform into this sort of monster-like creature, and you become like a berserker mode, or you get a berserker mode or something like that. And it really feels like you're in a Japanese anime or a Japanese game. And it's, these guys, they're Italian, so they really nailed that touch. I mean, the tribute is really well done. So I'm going to skip this because this is the actually the Steam demo, how it starts at least. It's not the exact Steam demo because, as I said, the Steam demo was composed of different parts of several early levels. Especially the boss at the end is not part of chapter 2. And you can actually dash through objects if you want to be quick. And there's when you keep running like this, she'll sprint eventually, although it doesn't really show here, but she does a little bit. So let's just continue for a little bit, and I think I'll try to wrap this up. I wanted to show you the different fields so I can give you their names also, at least the blue one, because I think the red one comes a bit later. So the evocation field will let you interact with ethereal objects, and also specters, like I said, enemies that are blue, so it's nothing too difficult. And the problem is when you activate them, the entropy level symbolized by this sort of meter in the top left corner of the screen, it fills up, and if it reaches if the entropy gets too high, it's something I said before, but loot becomes unavailable for a few seconds, so you can't use her defensive skills, and she won't attack for you. And by the way, I don't think I've said it before, but she attacks on her own. She doesn't need you, so she attacks. She doesn't need to be told to attack, so she'll do things on her own. And again, as you progress into her skill tree, we'll be able to add more possibilities. And Unity is what I was talking about. I'm not sure I can show it to you now, but if I play well enough and I'm able to kill enemies without getting hit, you can see that the Unity on the top right corner of the screen is rising. Not so much here because I'm not doing a very good job. And that when it reaches a certain level, at the beginning you have to fill it up completely, which takes a while, and it requires some getting used to because it's not always easy. But when it's high enough, you can unleash a special attack that you have to unleash by... Okay, let me try it like this. You have to launch a specific combo. It's the same, pretty much the same for every weapon, but you need to unlock this attack on each weapon in Loot's skill tree, or you'll only be able to do it with the Ashen Vindicator. I'm trying to launch it, but not being very good right now. Okay, there you go. Don't know why exactly, but it seems sometimes it takes a bit more time. Like, I think the combo is finished, which should launch the attack, but it doesn't. So maybe it's something I didn't quite get, even after got hit. Even after 25 hours, who knows? Okay, so that was a bit useless, but at least. So you wait until it's, you know, this combo is quite easy because you hit twice, then your weapon blinks, more or less, lights up, and then you can launch the combo. Platinum is not too bad, but it's not excellent. So yeah, I don't know what I don't know what you think about the game. Please feel free to share, whether, in the comments of this video if you're on YouTube or on the website, or if you prefer the gameplay video. I'll choose, sequences where I manage, let's say. And here I'll show you that, so let's skip this, that the evocation field also allows to reveal crystals that you collect, and the blue ones are for loot, to upgrade her skills, and the red ones obviously are for Briar. Blue ones are scarce compared to the red one, but it makes sense in a way because it's less expensive to actually upgrade loot, as whereas for Briar, as you probably saw, it can get pretty expensive, like more than 10,000 or 15,000. So obviously that's why you need to collect. I don't know why they did that this way, but even though I was not able to fully upgrade everything, I did most of it for both characters. So at the end of the game I was pretty badass, and I could do pretty impressive attacks, which made, again, maybe combat even more difficult to read sometimes, because so many things happening on screen, not always easy. So I'm happy to report that the frame rate mode seems really smooth, so really is nothing to complain about, at least the beginning of the game.
There's more.
There's just one move that I don't really think works very well with predefined camera angles, and also with maybe the analog stick, is you have it's on almost, I think all weapons have this move, where you have to press forward 2 times and then you press X or square, and clearly it works. It doesn't, for me it doesn't really work. Oh shoot, it doesn't really work unless you're really facing the enemy. I mean, like the diagonal direction doesn't seem to work, at least for me. Maybe it's me, but oh, I lost my Unity. I was checking the. That's also something that when you reach Unity, there should be a signal, something more visible. You know, my TV is pretty big, and I'm not complaining, okay, but having to check the top right corner just to see if I have Unity. This actually can mean losing Unity, because I get hit when I. And see, I lost it here because I was trying to pay attention to what was going on. Oh, something I haven't shown and I could show now is I can, yeah, use my items here. So it's really easy to strategize basically when your health is low, unless you have no health item left. But there are also in this invincibility items, also items you can use to raise your Unity to the maximum, so you can unleash Briar's Rage when you discover this power a bit later in the game. So I think that's it. I think I'm going to stop here because it's getting a bit too long. Probably have forgotten to say a few things, but overall, if you've liked what you've seen, you should enjoy Soulstice as much as I have. But just be aware that, yeah, camera can get in the way sometimes, and it's something they can improve for a sequel. And man, I hope there's going to be a sequel, because I'm not that much into Devil May Cry like games, but I really like this one, and I believe that they actually have something great here. That the way they tell the story, you also have these sequences where you're looking for an echo, and then it's just pretty static again, because you know it's like not moving cutscenes. But I think it's interesting because it's a nice break from the combat, and with the exploration, it allows you to catch your breath a little bit, and then you learn things about what happened in Hilden before. These sequences are usually done for this reason. And then you also have passages where you play as Lute in Briar's nightmares, and you learn things about their past. So you learn what happened to them, how they came to become chimeras and things like that. And I think it's for me it worked very well, and because the rest of the cutscenes, I mean, those that are where there is combat in the cutscenes, I mean, they're very well done. It really feels like an anime, like I said. It's a game that deserves a sequel or two. I think for a new franchise, and for a studio that probably hasn't developed many games before. I found the traces of 2 that I had never heard of. This is something that people should talk about. This is something that I think people should play, because because first of all, in September, it's not like there are many possibilities, but it's not play this because there's nothing else. It's play this because it's pretty good. Just keep cool when the camera gets in the way and then you die because of it. and just don't bother with some of the challenges if they annoy you or you think they're too challenging, because this is not going to help very much in terms of game enjoyment. I think for the most part, except for the one I mentioned, when they were too tough because I felt I was not good enough, or maybe my character was not upgraded enough, I just simply skipped them. But I think most of the challenges I've seen, and I may have missed a few, but most of the challenges I've seen, they actually work very well, because they force you to learn and master the mechanics, and some of the mechanics that you may not use that much, because it's always possible to again button mash your way out of a fight, because it's not too challenging in the default difficulty setting. Now when you're aware of that, when you realize it's a game made by a small team, it's an indie studio, I'm really impressed. Technically, I'm impressed. Artistically, I'm impressed also by the way, even the writing in a way. It works well. The voice acting is great. So, yeah. Other than the camera, really have nothing to complain about. And I think it was a great game. And I'm very, very grateful that actually I'm, working, air quotes, for Gamerside, because I probably could have missed it otherwise, because like I said, I'm not too much into Devil May Cry like games, and so probably would have thought, okay, probably not for me. Had a blast, and I think that's the main thing you're looking for when you buy a game. I have some fun and just maybe just a tad too long, although I felt that at some point in the last third, and then the very, very last part was really really nice, also nice looking. And so the banishment field, so the red one, so red crystals that allow you to upgrade Briar. And it's something that I'll finish with this, is some enemies like the specters here, the ghost, you need they're not called specters or ghosts, but well, you get what I said. You need the banishment field, and check the entropy level on the top left corner. As long as you hit enemies, it doesn't rise too much. But obviously, when you walk around, you'd better it's probably better if you deactivate it. I think they can improve the lock-on system too, and maybe the way the camera works, so that maybe the camera angle switches so you can really see who you're facing, because that's something that again probably could be I'm not gonna say fixed, because it's not exactly broken, but that could be improved with a patch, who knows. So I guess that's gonna be it for me today. So this is one of the challenges. So here you have to perform the required number of perfect counters and slay all enemies before the time runs out. And I'm just going to show you this, and promise after I'll be gone, don't worry, because it took me a while, because perfect parry is not really explained well, even in the menus if you go to the codex. But I would recommend you wait, you look at your enemy, you wait for the animation to start, and then you press. Don't wait for the button to appear, because it's going to be too late probably. Oh, missed it. So come on, hit me. Here it works very well, see? So there's nothing difficult, but it took me time to actually learn. If you do this should work very well. So 4. Of course, when there are several enemies at the same time, it makes it a bit more difficult. Oh, Come on.
I will protect you, sister.
Actually not.
Look over there.
I am ready.
I'm going to miss. So, take it easy, man. Come on. The others are okay. That's good. But then I have to defeat them, and I'm not going to be able to do that because it's going to take me too long. So yeah, not tactically not well done. Because I need to get rid of his armor first, and then you see, I failed. But well, you see what I mean by it's doable, but you need to learn how to master the game, and you need to, and you can always go back to the main chapter again if it's too difficult. But I think those are also great because it forces you to play in a different way. Sometimes you know the objectives are a bit silly, like you know you have to kill all the enemies, but you should not destroy any of the crates and things that are around you. You never care about that in the real game. But yeah, so some of the objectives are a bit silly, but I mean it's always fun in a way to learn to try and beat the arena the way you're supposed to do it, and except for the one arena that I really hated, that you probably see in one of the sequences. If I do show it, I'm not too sure yet. I probably have to like add some subtitle to let people know so they understand why it's so bad. So you know, like fields also allow you to so I was saying, to be able to jump onto a platform that would be transparent, and if you didn't use the evocation field. So let me open this. I think there's Layton here. Oh no, there's no Layton. So that's it. Sorry I couldn't make it shorter. Tried to again. Thanks for listening and watching. Hope I was able to explain. I didn't explain everything, all the mechanics, but I think it's also great to be able to discover things on your own. But yeah, it's a game I would recommend if you like the genre. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a game that I really hope we're going to see more of in the future, like a sequel and a third episode, because I think that's what the developers are hoping for, and I think they deserve it. So again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video. Not too sure what I'll show you, but I'll try and keep you posted on the website in a way, or just well, subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube, or you know, hit the bell button or whatever it's called. Not too familiar with those things we're supposed to say. And until next time, take really good care of yourself. Bye bye, guys.